Picture this. You're sitting at your kitchen table late at night, trying to help your family back home. Maybe it's for medical bills. Maybe it's for rent. Maybe your parents need support, or a sibling is struggling. So you open an app, send money overseas, and think nothing of it. But what if that single transaction could suddenly raise red flags inside your immigration file in 2026? What if immigration officers start asking questions you never expected? Questions about where the money came from, who received it, how often you send it, and whether it affects your financial eligibility in America? Right now, thousands of green card holders and immigrants are panicking after new discussions about stricter financial reviews, digital transaction tracking, and updated immigration enforcement policies expected in 2026. People who thought they were doing something completely normal are now worried they could accidentally damage their green card renewal, citizenship interview, or even future sponsorship applications. And the scariest part? Most immigrants still have no idea which money transfers are considered risky and which ones are completely safe. In this video, we're breaking down the shocking truth about international money transfers, the hidden mistakes immigrants are making every day, and the exact situations that could trigger serious immigration scrutiny next year. You need to hear this before your next transfer goes through. One misunderstanding could create delays, investigations, or problems you never saw coming. So before you send another dollar abroad, make sure you watch this video until the very end. And if you want more urgent immigration updates that could protect your future in America, hit that like button right now and subscribe before this information catches everyone else by surprise. The moment immigration officers start paying closer attention to your financial history, everything changes. And that's exactly why so many immigrants across America are suddenly nervous about sending money overseas in 2026. For years, millions of people have regularly transferred money back home without thinking twice about it. It's part of life. Families depend on those payments. Parents rely on them. Children need them. Emergencies happen. But now, growing fears about stricter immigration reviews and digital financial monitoring are causing many green card holders to ask a terrifying question. Could something as simple as sending money abroad actually hurt your immigration case? The answer is more complicated than most people realize. Because technically, sending money to family overseas is not illegal. In fact, millions of legal residents and citizens do it every single year. But what immigration authorities may start examining more closely in 2026 is not just the transfer itself, it's the pattern behind it, the source of the money, the frequency of the transfers, whether taxes were filed correctly, whether income matches reported earnings, whether someone appears financially stable enough to maintain immigration eligibility. And for many immigrants, that's where the real danger begins. Imagine this scenario. A green card holder works multiple jobs, sends several $100s overseas every month, and occasionally deposits cash into different accounts before transferring the money abroad. To them, it feels normal. They're helping families survive difficult economic conditions back home. But when immigration officers or federal agencies review financial records during a future green card renewal or citizenship process, those transactions could suddenly create questions, not necessarily because the person did something wrong, but because inconsistencies can trigger deeper scrutiny. That's the part many immigrants don't understand. Immigration cases are no longer only about paperwork and interviews. Financial behavior is becoming increasingly visible in the digital age. Banks report suspicious activity. Large cash movements attract attention. International transfers leave electronic records. And when multiple agencies share information, even ordinary financial habits can look unusual if they are not properly documented. Now, before panic spreads, let's make something absolutely clear. This does not mean immigrants should stop supporting their families overseas. It also does not mean every international transfer will cause immigration problems. But what it does mean is that immigrants entering 2026 need to be more careful, more organized, and more informed than ever before. Because one misunderstanding inside a complicated immigration system can quickly turn into months of delays, requests for evidence, or intense questioning during interviews. One of the biggest mistakes immigrants make is assuming immigration officers only care about criminal history. That's no longer true. Financial credibility matters. During many immigration processes, authorities evaluate whether applicants appear truthful, financially responsible, and compliant with tax laws. If your reported income says one thing, but your bank records show constant, unexplained movement of money, it can raise concerns. Again, that doesn't automatically mean denial, but it can mean additional review. And here's where things become even more stressful. Many immigrants work in cash-heavy industries: restaurants, construction, delivery services, cleaning jobs, small businesses, freelance work. These are common sources of income for immigrant communities. Sometimes people receive partial cash payments, sometimes they help friends transfer money, sometimes relatives pool funds together before sending them overseas. These situations may feel harmless within families and communities, but on paper, they can appear confusing to financial institutions or immigration reviewers. In 2026, experts are warning that digital tracking systems are becoming far more sophisticated. Financial institutions already monitor transactions for fraud prevention, anti-money laundering compliance, and suspicious activity reporting. Immigration agencies themselves may not directly monitor every transfer, but financial records often become part of broader immigration reviews, especially during citizenship applications, sponsorship cases, or investigations involving financial sponsorship requirements. And then there's social media, which adds another layer of risk many people completely overlook. Imagine posting luxury purchases online while claiming financial hardship during an immigration filing, or publicly discussing overseas business activity that was never disclosed in tax documents. Immigration officers increasingly review digital footprints. What seems like harmless online content can create contradictions that complicate immigration cases. Another growing concern involves sponsorship obligations. Many green card holders hope to sponsor spouses, parents, or children in the future. Financial records play a major role in those cases. Authorities want to see stable, legitimate income and compliance with tax laws. If someone has years of inconsistent banking activity, undocumented earnings, or unexplained international transfers, it can create problems during sponsorship reviews. Once again, the issue is not helping family overseas. The issue is whether the financial story makes sense on paper. And that's exactly why immigration attorneys keep repeating the same warning going into 2026. Document everything. Keep records of income, file taxes correctly, save transfer receipts, maintain clear banking histories. Because if questions ever arise, documentation becomes your protection. Without records, immigrants often struggle to explain perfectly innocent financial behavior. There's also a dangerous myth spreading online right now that any international transfer over a certain amount will automatically trigger deportation risk or green card denial. That is simply not true. Fear-based rumors are exploding across social media, terrifying immigrant communities. Some videos claim the government is secretly targeting immigrants who support families abroad. Others falsely suggest all overseas transfers will soon be blocked or investigated. Much of this information is exaggerated or completely misleading. But misinformation itself creates another problem. Fear causes people to make bad decisions. Some immigrants start avoiding banks entirely. Others begin using informal transfer systems without documentation. Some rely on cash couriers or unofficial channels to move money internationally. Ironically, those choices can create far greater legal and financial risks than using normal regulated banking systems. That's why understanding the difference between legal financial activity and suspicious financial behavior is critical. Regular documented transfers from legal income sources are generally not a problem. The real danger comes when records do not match reported income, when taxes are inaccurate, or when financial activity appears intentionally hidden. Now think about the emotional pressure many immigrants face. Families overseas often depend entirely on money sent from America. Rising inflation, political instability, and economic hardship in many countries mean relatives may urgently need support. Immigrants feel responsible. They work exhausting hours trying to build lives in the United States while also helping loved ones survive abroad. So when headlines suddenly start suggesting those transfers could affect immigration status, fear spreads fast, and unfortunately, scammers are already taking advantage of that fear. Fake immigration consultants are telling immigrants they need expensive financial clearance reviews to protect their green cards. Fraudsters are sending terrifying messages claiming international transfers have already been flagged by immigration authorities. Some scammers even pretend to offer secret methods for hiding overseas transactions. These scams are becoming more common as immigration anxiety grows. The truth is that immigrants should never rely on random social media influencers or unlicensed consultants for legal advice. Immigration law is incredibly complex, and every case is different. What matters most is staying informed through legitimate sources and maintaining accurate financial records. Another issue many people overlook is taxes on overseas accounts and foreign income. Some immigrants maintain bank accounts in their home countries while living in America. Others inherit property overseas or receive income from family businesses abroad. In certain situations, U.S. law may require disclosure of foreign financial assets or income. Failure to report them properly can create serious legal complications unrelated to immigration itself. And once financial legal issues appear, they can indirectly affect immigration processes too. This is where 2026 becomes especially important. Governments around the world are increasingly sharing financial information across borders. Technology makes tracking international money movement easier than ever before. Immigration systems are becoming more data-driven. And as political debates around immigration continue heating up, many immigrants fear stricter enforcement measures could expand even further. At the same time, it's important not to confuse possibility with certainty. Not every immigrant is under investigation. Not every financial inconsistency leads to disaster. In many cases, simple explanations and proper documentation solve issues quickly. The goal is not panic. The goal is preparation. Think about how stressful immigration interviews already are. People spend months gathering documents, worrying about mistakes, fearing delays, and hoping everything goes smoothly. Now imagine sitting across from an officer who starts asking detailed questions about years of financial transfers overseas. If records are incomplete or inconsistent, anxiety skyrockets. Even innocent people can become nervous and confused under pressure. That's why organization matters so much. Something as simple as keeping digital folders with tax returns, pay stubs, transfer receipts, and banking records can make an enormous difference. It gives immigrants confidence and protection if questions ever arise. And in an era where digital records are permanent, staying organized is becoming more important than ever. Another factor creating fear is political rhetoric. Every election cycle seems to bring new promises about immigration crackdowns, border enforcement, or stricter vetting procedures. Sometimes proposed policies sound far more aggressive than what actually becomes law. But headlines alone can terrify immigrant communities. Families start imagining worst-case scenarios. Rumors spread quickly through social media, WhatsApp groups, and community networks. One viral post can suddenly convince thousands of immigrants that ordinary banking activity could destroy their future in America. That's why separating facts from fear is absolutely critical right now, right? Immigration systems do involve financial reviews in many cases, but that does not mean helping your family overseas automatically makes you suspicious. In fact, many immigrants who successfully become citizens or maintain permanent residency have long histories of supporting relatives abroad. The key difference is transparency, consistency, and compliance with financial laws. Problems usually emerge when people hide income, fail to file taxes correctly, or create confusing financial trails.